Hey friends, Dan Prozowski from allaboutminibikes.com and our Facebook page, All About Mini Bikes, as well as our YouTube page, All About Mini Bikes. And briefly, I've had some more questions, people asking about mini bikes, mini cycles, and differences between like nowadays and new bikes. And although this is older, my Motovox is from 2013. It's a 2013 model, and my Ramjet's 1970. And I don't have the YZ80 here right now. I've got that in another garage I store things in. I'll talk a little bit about the difference in the bikes, and so and subtle or not subtle to some people. So this is a 1970 Ramjet, and we'll get right over with the braking system. And it's got a drum brake on here. And these were really great. And the drum brakes are on both the front and the back. And they're very good. Very good. I don't know at what time they started coming out with the disc brake. The Motovox has it. I got back into mini bikes in about 2000. When we got this bike, I got it for the kids for Christmas. So 2014 was when I just kind of got back into it and had lost really track of it because I was used to bikes like this with the Tecumseh motor or Briggs & Stratton. Now I'm here in Temperance, Michigan, and actually Tecumseh, Michigan, where they made these, it's about a half hour, 40 minutes up the road, northwest of me. And the factory's not there anymore as a Tecumseh. It's there, but they don't make the motors or anything anymore. And so big differences from back then to now are drum brakes, disc brakes. You can see this, my bike had both the gas tank mounted up here like a motorcycle, and these were all chrome. Somebody put something over them. The fenders and this, it's all chrome. With the gas cap, you can see has an on-off for air, as you just heard that. You didn't hear it because you weren't close, but an on-off to let air. You'd turn it off, and that way you don't get sand or anything in there laying around. So a big difference there. There's no shocks on here, but again, back in 1973, my original one, I paid $200 for it. That's a heck of a lot of money for a kid. That was a lot of paper out, grass cutting, snow shoveling, everything. You can see the exhaust comes out here from the back of the motor. That's again a 4 horsepower Tecumseh. It's 1970. And over here, it's just part of it off to the other side. It won't go, but it's just off to the other side. Again, no shocks. Handlebars are different. These ones retracted. You just take that, loosen them up, and then they go down. You can fit it easy actually in the trunk of a car, except for as long as you don't get gas out of there. These you'd have to loosen the bolts over here and drop it back down, which can be done. Both of them had on-off switches. And this is actually a very well-built bike. It's heavy, but the motor is a 2.5 HP, and it just is not good. When I had my Ramjet, I weighed about 100 pounds, and we went everywhere a motorcycle could. And that's why this was the best bike to have. This here is more up and down the streets. We take it out into trails, but they got to be flat trails, and you don't have power in the sand, where this will take me anywhere and everywhere. And so this summer we have hopefully some trips planned if the places are open. With COVID, we don't know. A lot of them were shut down last year. Different places in Ohio, southern Ohio, and they just weren't open. They just weren't doing it because of COVID. So we're going to see. Hopefully we can get to some of those places, and I'll show you that this bike goes anywhere. Now, with these bikes though, because people always ask me, they love them, but there's a 1970 motor in there, and you just don't go and get parts for it. And somebody will say, oh, Tecumseh, they still make carbs in that. Not on this model. They don't make the same things that they did before. Everything's changed. And this doesn't even have the serial numbers. The plate that was taken off, but I do know a guy up in Michigan who's been working a shop. He has a shop for about 40 years now at least. And so I can go with him with my questions, and I know he'll give me the right answers. And then this one also has a jack shaft on it. And a jack shaft means that you've got your clutch and your chain comes to what's called a jack shaft. The shaft then goes to the other side, and it has another chain which goes to the sprocket. So you get a lot more power out of that. And this one, it's on the other side, but it's called a direct drive. When it goes from the clutch to the sprocket in the back, that's a direct drive. When it goes to what's called a jack shaft, or another chain, comes over, mounts, goes off to the other one, that's jack shaft, and they will have a heck of a lot more power. They have a lot more power to dig you out of holes. So this one, I weigh about 185 pounds. This will scoot along with me. This won't. This will go up any hill. And when I was a kid, we did all off-road riding. The next one I will talk about, I don't know when I'll get the YZ back here because I'm just getting congested in here. But a lot of questions people talk about, well, what's a mini bike and what's a mini cycle? And some would even start to call this a mini cycle because of the mounted gas tank like a motorcycle, the shocks, and so on and so forth. But in the early 1970s, when the conversion was starting to come over, what I mean conversion was then you had the SL70, which they were racing that, also stripping it down, but that was like an enduro bike. And you still had the mini bikes going and speedway bikes. But then the Honda XR75 came out, and that changed everything. And even if you look at some of the old ads in the mini bike magazines, like Mini Bike Guide, even the companies would say a mini cycle. But the mini cycles, we'll talk about that later, were really took off, and the name change came when the Honda XR75 came out. That revolutionized everything and was part of the demise of the mini bike. But there were other reasons for that also. But I'm going to do a video just on that when I get the YZ80 back here, and I'll talk more in depth on it. And anyway, thanks for watching. You have questions and comments, that's okay, put them in there and ask. And if you have something you'd like me to do a video on, just email me or send it in there and I'll do that and get it out there for you. So thanks for watching. Tell your friends, spread it, and subscribe to our pages also. And ride happy and healthy. See you soon.